Hey guys, and welcome back to Castle Crush, and today we are going to be doing a dragon deck with Metamorph right here, which is probably one of the more epic types of dragon decks that you can do, and it's definitely an interesting strategy. You might think it's too high mana to really work effectively, but I managed to figure out some ways to do it. It took some trial and error, so as you'll see, I kind of developed the deck during the video. And honestly, this is one of the things I like to often do during videos, is to kind of take a deck concept and kind of try to develop it within the video and kind of like explain a little bit about why I made the decisions I made for certain cards to try and get a certain type of deck. So as you can see, here's the deck I started with. We have the dragon, we have two metamorphs, we have the giant growth card, and we have some other cards like mana cards, as well as Valkyrie. Because Valkyrie, at least in theory, can help me get the dragon out there faster, especially if I manage to metamorph the Valkyrie off the start, which occasionally tends to happen, and that makes it really easy to get the dragon out. And you can see here in this first match, I was able to get the double Valkyrie. However, I do not have a dragon, but I decide it's so good with two Valks out there, I should just keep metamorphing. So I decide to do that. And sometimes, admittedly, it was hard to try and hold the metamorphs for the dragon. It's much easier sometimes to just go ahead and play them as I get them. But we still managed to metamorph some good dragons, as you'll see. I did find that this particular deck setup wasn't the best in the end, but you'll see kind of why later on. And I made some adjustments to it. But this is a pretty good match here, able to still get the dragons out very quickly. And it's interesting when you go against other dragon decks too, because they tend to both have Black Witch, and it ends up with some pretty interesting situations where it's kind of like, you know, a battle of you know, just trying to really survive against the other player and making the right Black Witch moves and such. Now I guess the problem for me was that I didn't really have the best Black Witch combos because I'm not using Inferno, so I did figure out later on that one good Black Witch combo is to actually play the Black Witch and then use the Spiked Statue. And although it's not as immediate as Inferno necessarily, it's still actually pretty decent at comboing with the Black Witch. And unfortunately there, as you saw, I lost that match due to a number of different reasons, but they had kind of a better... I think they had Inferno maybe for the Black Witch, or they did a better job of countering my Black Witch plays, I think. So double Metamorph to start this match off, and I could see I had the dragon here, so I was going for the dragon to try and Metamorph it, but it ended up being really slow, so I was like, I have to wait until the next hand to do it, and finally I can get the dragon out there. And now hopefully we can Metamorph it. And we do. We got one dragon anyways. One of them is about to get frozen here, so I realize that I'm going to need the fire elemental, but first I went with the Valk just because it was good to have out there. And then I actually kind of misplayed that. I should have really played the fire elemental on the top lane, but I didn't. So I thought the Spike Statue was going to work, but the reality is it didn't work because they had an angel. So that was kind of a misplay by me. And that might have actually helped with the match if I'd been able to keep that dragon up. So I managed to metamorph the Valkyrie though. This is looking really fantastic here in this one so far. But they just come right back at me, which I thought was... pretty impressive. And again, the fact they had an angel, I really needed to focus more on those angels that they kept playing. And you know, I saw the right spots to use my Black Witch, but I wasn't always successful right there. I was successful in the middle lane, and that was a big one to keep me in the right spot. I was being fairly aggressive with my cards. That's the other interesting thing. Being fairly aggressive considering I know they have dragons. So I probably could have been a little bit more cautious about waiting for them to get a lot of stuff set up and then playing the Black Witch. But as you can see right there, I'm not sure exactly what they metamorphed because it looks like they had a giant growth on that dragon. I didn't quite see them play that, but I'd have to rewind and look again. It must have been... I don't know, but as soon as they did that, and then with the gust of wind, right there I knew I was pretty much done. And unfortunately they had me because they were too close for me to be able to play the Metamorph, really. So... it was unfortunate. I actually kind of regained control of the middle lane with a lucky Metamorph a bit for a second, but bottom lane there was nothing I could do without... I was trying to frantically draw for another gust of wind, but it just wasn't happening. So let's get back into here and see what we can maybe improve with this deck, perhaps. And my thought process was that I didn't seem to have enough cards to counter what my opponent was doing. Meteor seems like a great card, but sometimes I find it's not that useful depending on what my opponent has in their deck. So I decided to reduce the mana cost slightly. I don't think the mana cost was entirely the problem because I have many mana cards in this deck, but I figured that the demon might be a better counter to certain cards that my opponents were playing, and you know, might just work out a little better, especially decks with like angels or, you know, reapers and such. I don't always want to have to spend a meteor on that, and the thing is that it's nice to have a card that can do multiple things. Like, I can play the demon against skeletons as well, so not that it's great against skeletons, but it can be played against them and take out a few of them. So I don't know, I felt like the demon had a little bit more versatility than the meteor, and the meteor can be kind of tough if you misplay it. I decided to make that change, and I also added in, I think was the Dark Angel already in there? It probably wasn't. I added in the Dark Angel to try and help in the sort of early mid-game as well. Since I have so many mana cards, I just went ahead and basically started the deck in the mid-game, and that's kind of where I was playing out of. So here again, I managed to get 3 dragons out against this person. This match, though, got very, very interesting, as you will see. But I liked having the demon in the deck just as something that could counter whatever they played. And, you know, you can see right here, it gives me an edge on the dragon-to-dragon combat. So they tried to get a Necromancer stack going, but this match was not happening that way entirely. But as you can see here, they kind of got back into this match a little bit briefly because they kept going with the dragon stacks, and I was trying to just push through them and finish this match off, but they kept landing a lot of nice plays. And in the top lane, they got rid of my entire stack, and I didn't have a good Black Witch counter handy. I probably should have been keeping one since I know they have it. And as you can see, they were just able to clear everything, and I'm stuck with my mana cards in my hand. And now I was like, uh-oh, this match just got way more interesting than I was bargaining for. I feel like if I just countered that Black Witch they played in the top lane, the match would have definitely ended right there, because I don't think they had any other counter really, except maybe a dragon. So at this point, I have to fight back because they are pushing hard, and I just don't have that many cards. And then I get a Metamorph, and it's like, uh-oh. And then I got the right card. Then I finally got the Dark Angel, and it was like, yes, that was the right card right there. And then the Dragon. But again, they went for the Black Witch. Again, very powerful card. The Black Witch can really, really change a match if you play her in the right combos and situations. So I got rid of the skeletons first, and then I metamorphed and got a mage. And you can see right here, they throw down the meteors, and I am starting to get concerned here. I think they almost thought they about had this, but especially since with overtime and such, it looks like they have it, but I'm coming at their castle, and then they use another big black witch play, but it's getting close, and then they use the dragon, and it looks like maybe they have it, but then I get in there with the fire elemental at the last moment and manage to grab that match. That was pretty sweet, honestly. That was one of the better matches I've had in a little while, especially in terms of coming up with a clutch play at the end to get the win. So, this match is a tough start, but I was able to bounce back here with the Dark Angel, and then they make a really nice move to juke me right there because I didn't have much to counter with except the Gust of Wind. Obviously, the Metamorph has a very low chance of becoming the Dark Angel, and no chance after they get that Boneyard out. So I tried to counter with a Valkyrie, but the protection made it such that I wasn't able to really be very effective. And then I just started panicking, and I was just like, I need to get the damage off of me. And so I had to use a defensive fire elemental, and then I got a very lucky Metamorph into a Skull Queen, because she was actually able to help hold off that middle lane for a few seconds, and they're still doing a ton of damage to me, and I'm just barely able to finally clear the skeletons off of my castle with only like 1200 health left. And now I'm even still not 100% sure, because if they have like cannon shot or meteor they've been saving, I'm toast. So I was like hoping that was not the case. So you can see there I used the extra crystal, to heal back up a little bit in case they had something they were going to use straight on my castle. And then unfortunately, well, actually it was fortunately I was able to metamorph 2 Dark Angels, but we got the win anyways. That was a tight match though. So victory chest, and the epic is the Unchained Demon. Yeah, pretty tight match though that was, and was lucky to come out of that with a win. I barely stopped their skeleton bush. It's tough with this type of a deck because it's meant for mid-game and later, so I have to really get stuff out fast if I'm going to counter a rushing deck or a Skull Queen type deck, because those ones can start out fast and just really bite you in the early game. So I had to definitely be on top of my strategy. This was unfortunate because I was almost able to get that dragon out, but I just wasn't quite able to do it. And then probably could have gone with a Metamorph there. I wanted to set up for my Metamorph and my dragon, so I got my important cards out, and finally we're able to get the dragon down. And this is a good point right here to Metamorph. But I get distracted and don't do it until there. And I got a very lucky Metamorph getting the dragon. You know, when it's out of a group like that, it feels like you just hit the jackpot because it's so much extra mana. It's awesome. It's an awesome feeling to Metamorph the dragon. And now I'm in the driver's seat of this match from this point forward, pretty much. And another Metamorph. And that time I wasn't so lucky, but you can't be lucky every time. That's kind of just how it works. And they do manage to get the dragon off of me, but I already was in a pretty decent spot. So perhaps I should have been more aggressive when I did have the dragon out, but I was kind of like, I have a good setup of defensive and offensive cards in my hand, so I was trying to just sort of focus on slow playing it and countering whatever they played. They did a pretty good job here of trying to counter that top lane dragon, and I just decided I was going to keep grinding away at whatever they were playing. And then the big move here was in the bottom lane, able to take out both of those pirates. They played them behind nothing, so my Dark Angel was able to quickly grab them at close range, and that was a huge play. If they'd been behind something, it might have been more difficult to deal with, but that made them really, really easy. And then with a dragon on their castle, it was just pretty simple from this point forward. That person did a pretty good job for a lot of the match of kind of just holding me off, and I think I was just slow playing it as well. But in the end, I had their number and was able to come up with the plays when I needed to get them. So I guess that's probably going to do it for this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing some Dragon Metamorph gameplay. And there's some other nice cards in here as well. 3 legendaries, 4 legendaries in this deck. Dragon, Valk, Dark Angel, and Black Witch. So leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments and what other types of content I should create. Maybe subscribe if you're new to my channel. And thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos.